to see out of the Senate bill? What do you want to see when they, in the next couple of weeks, get down and dirty in conference to really come up with one piece of legislation to put on the president's desk for signage? How do you want it to look different?
Well, for one, there are a lot of really good changes on the corporate side that you see on both the House bill and the Senate bill. On the personal side, there are some aspects that are a little better than the House bill, others that are a little bit worse. I mean, the Senate brings back the medical expense deduction. That's good. They have the mortgage interest deduction cap at $1 million. The House version is at $500,000. The Senate proposes to fully eliminate the state and local tax deduction, where the House version made progress in having a $10,000 property tax deduction cap. Not enough progress for me, but I'd love to see us go even further than the House version. They're also talking about some of the changes need to be made on the pass-through rules. Senator Johnson, he's been outspoken in the need to make sure that we're delivering more relief for small businesses. I think that we should be treating people who would be in the personal service space more like the person who may be, say, a widget maker, and where you have a 39.6% bracket, and you're a New Yorker and you're in a personal service occupation, then when you look at losing maybe your largest itemization, a state and local tax deduction, if you had a mortgage interest deduction cap of $500, you don't have any more medical expense deduction, but and then on top of that, the pass-through rules aren't applying to you because you are in personal service. Then you're going to see a big tax increase. And then there's also the big impact important for middle-income Americans as well. When you start talking about a district like mine, and you had Congressman King on as well, close to half of my district itemizes and uses a state and local tax deduction. Yeah, no, I think you make all good points. Let me talk a little about the business cuts. 20% corporate, 25% pass-through. Senator Ron Johnson said this doesn't make any sense. And I'm wondering why they're both not the same rate. I mean, when you look at the pass-through companies, this is not just your hardware store on the corner. I mean, Cargill, employs 150,000 people. That's considered a pass-through. So why do some companies get a 25% rate and others get a 20% rate? I don't understand that. Yeah, and others would be paying a higher rate than that. So I think that it would be great to be able to level the playing field more, where we have an important shared goal across both chambers and the president, trying to bring the corporate tax rate as low as possible, and where I was supportive of the president going down to 15 in the original proposal. Now it's at 20. I do know from conversations with people who are advocating for reducing the corporate tax rate, they'd be thrilled if at the end of the day it was at 22. Yeah. So I think that we need to look at leveling the playing field as much as possible. And that is one thing that I've heard as well is, comparing the 20 to 25% rate and even the pass-through rules at the 25% rate, depending on the occupation. So what is the process at this point? They come back next week in the Senate. They will mark up their bill. Then the House and Senate has to get together to come up with the best parts of both plans to make one plan, correct? Walk us through the next couple of weeks. So if the Senate were to, say, pass a tax bill as early as this week, right away you would have conferees appointed. A conference committee between the House and the Senate would start meeting to try as quickly as possible to come up with a version of the bill that not only is agreed to at that conference committee, but can be passed by both the House and the Senate with the goal of having a bill on the president's desk by Christmas. It's an ambitious timeline, but it is doable. If the Senate passes a bill this upcoming week, a conference committee starts meeting right away, and they make a ton of progress quickly, you can get there. If you were the last holdout and they needed your vote in order to pass any piece of legislation, are you going to vote no? Well, you're all going to get out of a job if you don't get this done. Yeah, now I want to know what kind of changes are going to get made. The bill in its current form I oppose. If there are no changes that are made to it, I continue to oppose the bill. I would love to be able to improve the bill. I would love to be able to vote yes on a bill that gets as close to perfect as possible. Right. But for me, as I crunch a number for my own constituents, I'm not voting to raise taxes on this many of my own constituents. I just won't do it. I understand. Congressman, it's good to see you, sir. Thanks so much. Thank you.